Straight ahead on 12 News Weekend, an increasingly popular target for criminals.
We've had 3 trailer thefts in the past 90 days or so.
Thefts of small trailers are on the rise, why police say those cases are difficult to solve. Plus, a facelift for a local mall. We'll show you what's taking shape in Crystal. But first, undervalued and highly ignored. Those conclusions from one college professor who studied the impact of African immigrants on the local economy. 12 News Weekend starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us on 12 News Weekend. I'm Delano Cleveland.
And I'm Mike Johnson. We begin with what one college professor calls a powerful yet underutilized force.
Bruce Corey of Concordia University says African immigrants contribute millions of dollars to the local economy. But as Cassie Bonstrom reports, not enough is being done to tap into their potential.
It's another busy day for Charles Giuffrida as customers peruse through his African foods market in Brooklyn Park.
A lot of customers say I can't even account for it.
An immigrant of Nigeria, Giuffrida says his business, BCS African Foods, is growing every day. In fact, he says it's the biggest African market in the state and the go-to place for anyone wanting traditional foods.
70% of our customers are Liberians, and we make sure we bring their ethnic food that they can't get elsewhere. That's why we're so unique.
Unique and highly ignored, according to one Concordia University professor.
African immigrants are an invisible community in Minnesota.
Dr. Bruce Corey conducted a 6-month study looking at the impact of African immigrants on Minnesota's economy.
When we talk about them, generally it's in negative stereotypes, but they are a vibrant, entrepreneurial, hardworking community, as you can see in Brooklyn Park.
There are several thousand businesses owned by African immigrants in Minnesota, many of them in the Northwest Metro, according to Corey. He says they have a collective income of $1.6 billion, $200 million in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center alone.
Who's investing $200 million on a day-to-day basis in that economy? This community. So the question is how well this community is connected to the policy infrastructure of Brooklyn Park.
Dr. Corey says the answer is not very well. He hopes the study jumpstarts a discussion and helps business leaders like Giuffrida continue to grow and play a larger role in the workforce.
They have the talents, the resources, the energy. What they need to be is to be connected.
Professor Corey says a previous study he did looked at the contributions of Liberian immigrants to the state's healthcare industry. He said without them, the system would be in a severe crisis.
If you work in downtown Minneapolis, you may need to alter your commute. Serious delays are expected Monday as road resurfacing work continues on I-394. MnDOT has closed the westbound lanes between I-94 and Highway 100. All traffic from downtown Minneapolis is being rerouted onto the high occupancy toll lanes, and this will continue for the next 2 weeks. One option to ease the hassle factor is using Plymouth Metrolink. Beginning Monday, buses will offer express service to downtown on Highway 55.
Station 73, you can park for free. A bus leaves every 15 minutes to downtown. All of the buses that leave to downtown have Wi-Fi, and we've got this great mobile app that people can use to find their route, track their bus, and keep up to date with the service all in real time.
After the westbound work is finished, the eastbound lanes of I-394 will be closed for similar repairs. Some Robbinsdale homes and businesses will have to endure another summer of construction. Work has begun to replace a water main that runs underneath 42nd Avenue. The water main has ruptured twice, once in 2013 and again last year, flooding streets and causing massive sinkholes. The pipe supplies water to residents in Crystal, New Hope, and Golden Valley. The replacement work is expected to last through mid-November. 42nd Avenue will have one lane open in each direction during the majority of the project.
A word of warning for people who own small trailers. Police say they have become an increasingly popular target for criminals. In New Hope alone, thieves have stolen 3 trailers in the past 90 days. One of the thefts impacted a New Hope Boy Scout troop when their trailer was stolen from the parking lot of St. Joseph Church. The trailer held a lot of the troops' camping supplies.
We went through and did an inventory and found out that with tents and stoves and lanterns and first aid kits, all the tools that a scout would need to be able to do what they needed for a weekend camp.
Police say thefts of small trailers have been part of a metro-wide trend, and these kinds of thefts are more difficult to track because license requirements have changed. State law now requires stickers for small trailers as opposed to metal license plates.
Now in our weekend review, Brooklyn Park's search for a new city manager is now down to 3 candidates. Here are the finalists: Ann Norris, the city manager for the past 15 years in Crystal; Michael Redlinger, the city manager in Moorhead; and Jay Strobel, the deputy city coordinator in Minneapolis. The public is invited to meet the finalists at an open house Tuesday night at the Community Activity Center. In the Robbinsdale School District, the search for a new superintendent is down to 2 finalists, one internal candidate and one from Atlanta, Georgia. Lori Simon is the Executive Director of Academics and Elementary Schools for the Robbinsdale District, and Carlton Jenkins is the Chief Academic Officer for schools in Atlanta. The public will have a chance to meet both candidates during interviews Wednesday and Thursday. And in New Hope, the city celebrated the opening of a new apartment building. The Gates of New Hope offers 32 new units. City officials say it helps fill a need for apartments in the city. Developers say the complex is already at 100% capacity. Over in Crystal, a mall makeover is taking shape.
The Crystal Gallery Mall is getting a facelift, and as Eric Nelson reports, business there is picking up too.
Just call it a mall makeover. The 30-year-old Crystal Gallery Mall is undergoing a multi-million-dollar renovation that will be finished by the spring of 2016.
I'd say we're probably 80% there with the renovation.
Gone will be the outdated 1980s look, replaced by a spruced-up facility giving businesses their own separate entrance. Occupancy is up to 92% for the gallery, which is located at the southeast corner of West Broadway and Bass Lake Road.
It's a very strong retail corridor and a very strong retail corner.
It's a good spot.
Pawnworks christened its new store on June 29th.
I'm super excited. I think this is going to be a super great location for the company. Already in the past week, we've had a ton of traffic coming into the store.
There's already a Starbucks, Noodles & Company, Great Clips, and Buffalo Wild Wings at the mall, giving it a solid base.
They're strong national names for us, and that improves the kind of the caliber of tenants that you can attract to the vacancies.
I think it's going to be a high transaction location. I think it's definitely going to be one of the more premier pawn locations on this side of town, for sure.
For Business Matters, I'm Eric Nelson, Channel 12 News.
Also coming to Crystal Gallery Mall, an Anytime Fitness and a Red Wing Shoes. The Metropolitan Council also has an office there to work on the Bottineau Boulevard light rail line. Well, still ahead on 12 News Weekend, trying your hand at a physical feat. We'll look at what it takes to compete in a triathlon.
And then later in sports, a young Maple Grove golfer plays in the U.S. Women's Open Tournament.
But first, the dog days of summer have truly arrived. Monday will soar into the 90s.
Maple Grove has a new place to drop off prescription drugs that are out of date or no longer needed. A drop box has been installed in the entryway to the Maple Grove Police Station. Partnership for Change at North Memorial Hospital and the Maple Grove Lions Club helped make the new drop-off site possible.
It's a good way of disposing of any needles or pills or anything, rather than, flushing them down the toilet or one way or another, garbage or whatever.
We have prescription drug abuse. We have it throughout the country, as I said, but we also have experienced it here in Minnesota, and we've had some tragedies here. And what I'm trying to do is make it more accessible for Maple Grove residents. It's visible.
Hennepin County also has 6 drop-off sites, including the Brookdale Service Center, as well as the County Sheriff's Patrol Headquarters in Brooklyn Park. Next month, about 1,000 people will descend upon Maple Grove for the 6th annual Maple Grove Triathlon.
This weekend, we meet one participant to find out what it takes to get your body ready to compete. Fitness is a big part of Cindy Bradhoff's life. Twice a week, you can find this 45-year-old Maple Grove resident going for a run. But the rest of the time, You'll find her engaged in plenty of other workouts.
So I participate in the Minnesota Masters swim program. It's held at a lot of the Lifetime clubs. I do that several times a week. Last week I did about 7,000 yards.
And when Cindy's not swimming, she's on a bike.
I also cycle with the Lifetime Fitness Club. I go Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Saturday, so I got in about 150 miles last week.
She's hoping all that hard work pays off on August 22nd when she participates in her third Maple Grove Triathlon.
As long as you keep working at it and improving, that's my motivator. If I get faster, that's exciting to me.
More than 1,000 people are expected to participate in the 6th annual Maple Grove Tri at Weaver Lake Park.
They want to accomplish a big goal.
Lindsay Sachs is the founder of the Maple Grove Tri. She says it's an event that has a variety of physical benefits for athletes.
And I think it's something that allows, for example, runners to vary up their workouts. So you get to swim, bike, and run. So it's a really, really neat challenge. And not any athlete is equally good at each of those distances or sports. So it makes for a really compelling fitness challenge.
A compelling fitness challenge that participants say nearly anyone can do.
The Maple Grove Tri has a super sprint distance, which is really perfect for beginners. 0.25 mile swim, a 5-mile bike, and a 5K. So really approachable distance.
With 6 more weeks to train, Cindy's doing her part to make sure she's ready.
Working out is very important. 45 is truly the new 35.
And there is still time to sign up either as a participant or to volunteer. I can say right now we will not be participating, but best of luck to those of you who are.
Yeah, that's a really neat thing too for them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, coming up, a healthy way to learn all about Robbinsdale history.
But first, catch up with a former Champlain Park basketball star in our Next Level series. Jay Wilcox's Sports Next. It's been a very big week for a local golfer. I mean, just a couple of years ago, she was playing for her high school team, and now she's at the U.S. Open. It's great.
Yeah, what an opportunity, and something that a lot of players, men or women, really dream of.
Absolutely.
And got the chance to do it. Well, she's already accomplished a lot in her golf career. This week, Maple Grove native Sarah Burnham got the chance of a lifetime at the U.S. Women's Open. It's not a stretch to say playing in the U.S. Open is a dream come true for Sarah Burnham.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my biggest goals and dreams to make the U.S. Open, and I'm glad I can say I accomplished that now.
Burnham qualified for the Open in mid-May in Minnesota. Her experience as a cold-weather golfer sure didn't hurt.
It was about 45 degrees with 40-mile-an-hour gust of winds out at Winsong Farms. I don't know if you know the course, but it's there's not many trees, so it's very open, so there wasn't much blocking the wind, and so I didn't play my best. I mean, I probably could have shot better, but for the conditions, I guess it was pretty good, and I won the qualifier, and it got me in the tournament.
While it's hard to predict something like this, Burnham's work ethic made this dream a reality.
Probably the hardest working student I've ever seen. She's out here practicing in the morning, afternoon, evening, goes home, has some lunch. She's just back here working on it, whether it be on the driving range, the putting green, over on the par 3 course, working on different wedge shots around the green, approach shots.
Sarah tied for the state 3A individual title as a high school junior at Wayzata and was second as a senior and won 2 team titles. She's just finished a solid freshman season at Michigan State. It's the highlight of Sarah Burnham's career so far, with more to come. Burnham shot a 79 in the first round and 74 in the second and missed the cut. Champlain Park graduate Kyle Zimmerman led the Bethel University men's basketball team to the MIAC title game last winter and picked up a long list of accolades along the way. Jason Malillo profiles Zimmerman in this week's The Next Level.
Kyle Zimmerman's last game as a college basketball player was a thriller. Zimmerman and his Bethel teammates battled to the wire against St. Thomas in the MIAC title game, but came up just short.
I think just the fact that people didn't think that we could get there as far as we did, and we shouldn't have been there in their minds, I think kind of helped it a little bit easier. But it was tough knowing that we were so close to the national tournament, and we were, 1 shot away, 1 possession away. That it took a while to kind of get over, but I mean, it was tough.
That loss put a wrap on Zimmerman's college basketball career, but his senior season was one to remember. The Champlain native averaged 17.6 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. He was the MIAC Most Valuable Player and named a first-team All-American for Division III by the National Basketball Coaches Association.
Never in my wildest dreams would I ever think I'd be the MIAC MVP, an All-American, that kind of stuff. Like, those weren't necessarily goals of mine. The goals were to be all-conference and, you know, academically sound, things like that.
Following his senior campaign, Zimmerman drew the interest of a few professional teams overseas, but playing pro ball wasn't something Zimmerman seriously considered.
When I got MIAC MVP and when I got All-American and all these things, it's like, well, what else left is there? There's nothing left that I could possibly want. And so to go overseas would be tough for me, just to be away from family. And, you know, my last few memories of my playing career were good ones. So I didn't want to like step on that or anything like that. Like, finish while I'm on top and kind of just soak everything in that there is.
The future looks pretty good for the Bethel men's basketball team, even without Zimmerman on the floor. The Royals have a superb player in point guard and Maple Grove native Bryson Wojda, and Osseo grad Bridge Tussler transferred in last year. Jason Malillo, 12 Sports.
Zimmerman graduated from Bethel last spring and is planning to enroll in graduate school for physical therapy. In summer baseball, Maple Grove hosting Delano in the 96-team Gopher Classic American Legion Tournament. Grove starting pitcher Mason McMahon is the top of the first with a strikeout, the start of a great day for him. Bottom of the second, and Jordan Albers grounds a ball hard to second that is off the second baseman's glove. Jaden Roll scores on the play, and it is 1-0 Maple Grove. In the third, Brett Schultz comes through with a big hit to right center field. That one's in to score Bubba Horton, and it's 2-0 Maple Grove on a double for Schultz. They had one more run in inning number 6. Albers with a fly ball to center field here, and it's deep enough to score. Schultz tagging up from third for the final run of the game. Meanwhile, McMahon tosses a 2-hit shutout as Maple Grove wins 3-0. Pool play runs through Sunday with championship rounds Monday and Tuesday. So great tournament, a lot of good teams involved.
Yeah, 2-hit shutout, pretty good at any level.
Yeah, not a bad way to start the tournament for them.
All right, thanks, Jay.
You bet.
Well, coming up, a stroll through history in Robbinsdale.
We'll walk through Birdtown for a look at some of the city's most historical places. We'll be right back.
Finally, a way to take a walk through history in Robbinsdale.
Plaques are now up identifying some of Robbinsdale's most historic places. They include the former Nassett General Store, which was Robbinsdale's first retail store built back in 1888.
It's for people who are interested in history, and then a lot of times, like I say, people will stop, take a look at it and say, oh my God, I didn't know that. So it's just a way of learning a little bit about what the city was about.
The Robbinsdale Historical Society is getting close to its goal of putting up 15 plaques around the city, and when that happens, the goal is to create a walking map that residents can pick up at City Hall. Learn a little something about your town just by taking a walk.
There you go.
That's it for now. Have a great weekend.